Hello and welcome to the Music Business Buddy with me, Johnny Amos, podcasting out of Birmingham in England. I'm the author of the book, The Music Business for Music Creators. I'm a music creator myself. I'm an industry consultant, an artist manager, and a senior lecturer in both music business and music creation. Wherever you are, whatever you do, consider yourself welcome to this podcast and to a part of this community. My goal is to try and educate and inspire music creators from all over the world in their quest to achieving their goals by gaining a greater understanding of the business of music. Okay, so this week's episode highlights who I believe will be three very important music executives in the future of the music industry. I must add this as well. This is a bit of a first for me, right? I have got three of my ex-students on today, everybody. Three guests, right? Let me tell you a little bit about them. I wanted to really shine a light on who they are and also look towards the next generation in the music industry, right? Because I talk to a lot of people on this podcast, as many of you will know, and some of them have been in the industry for years, sometimes even decades. But I like to also shine a light on who is next, right? Who is coming through in the music business and not just artists, right? So let's think today about three people that are going to be a part of the music ecosystem going forward. The first one is a young lady by the name of Natalie Brown, who is an expert marketeer, right? She bears all the hallmarks of somebody that's going to be very, very useful to a lot of people in the future. Next up, we've got Lotty Evans, who again is really strong on marketing, on branding, on A&R. And various other things. And then finally, we've got Chris Beswick. Chris is an artist manager. He's also a very, very good emerging A&R. And he also knows a lot about music law, as they all three of them do, right? They'll talk about that, in fact, in today's interview. Now, Chris and Lottie and Nat have all come through BIMM University, right? The BIMM Institute in Birmingham, which is part of BIMM University, which is one of the roles that I do, right? I lecture there part-time, and I work with all three of them at one point or another throughout their degree. They've just finished their degree, and they're about to enter the music industry, and they are so clued up. Now, if you think about it like this, everybody, right? There's a lot of people that are in the music industry that found their way, that have, whether they're INRs or managers or whatever role they play. And they didn't necessarily come through with an education in music as such. They just kind of learned it on the go. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's worked for them. But what I'm seeing is this. I'm seeing more managers now under the age of 30 than we've ever seen before. And I think that one of the things that kind of engineers that to happen is a stronger education pipeline into employability in music or into the freelance portfolio career roles, right? So I wanted to just shine a light on three people that I think are fine examples of the next generation of music industry executives. And I'm going to hand over to the interview now. Nat, Lottie, Chris, welcome to the Music Business Buddy. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Right, all three of you absolutely represent the future of the music industry, right, in the UK and beyond. And I thought it'd be really nice to kind of have you on here and to kind of just pick your brains a little bit about, the state of the music industry, what you've learned about it, and all that kind of stuff. And what your ideals are going forward, right? Because you are now graduates of BIMM University, which is a known pipeline into the music industry. And you're now at the very beginning of your careers, right? So let's begin by kind of honing in on your goals, right? So it would be a lofty question of me if I was to say, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I won't ask you that, right? Who knows what the answer is to that? But what direction do you want your careers to be going in now in the next sort of 5 to 10 years? Do you have an idea of that yet? If you don't, that's fine too. Some of the most interesting people in the music industry are like, I don't even know what I'm doing a year from now, Lottie, let's come to you first. Do you have your sort of goals set roughly for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's 10 years feels like such a massive time frame to think about. It's like, oh my God. I think 10 years ago, that was ages, completely different person. But I think for me, I've spent the last 8 years of my life studying media and music marketing in some way. And I set up my marketing brand, Charlie Brook Media, for all things music when I was 16. And it will be really exciting.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
16.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's a long time to own a domain name for a website. Yeah, it's grand plan, big scheme of things. Yeah. It's all planned.
Wow.
The long-term dream is obviously, you know, I want to be financially independent, a house, a dog, a car, doing the stuff that I love doing music marketing. And I'm really excited, having done all this time in academia. I went to a normal sixth form, full-time, doing lectures every single day, loads of coursework and exams. It'll be so fun to get to do something freelance and really explore all the psychology, politics, PR, photography, all of the studies that I've done and all the experience I've got, and just would dedicate some time to that and taking that wherever that goes over the next, I guess, decade, if we want to talk about it in scary terms.
Well, yeah. So I shouldn't have thrown numbers around. It scares people when I do that. But so are you looking to kind of stay, you know, freelance then, Lottie? Is that the goal right now?
I think it's always so difficult, isn't it, when everyone's like, oh, what are you doing after uni? But because everyone asks you that now, don't they? It's like, as you get towards grad, they're like, so what are you doing? But I'm really excited to do some freelance stuff. I think it's so different to any of the other work that I've done before, anything that anyone in my family has really done before. I think I would love to have the perfect job, work in the industry, clock into this lovely office, work with all these amazing artists and a wonderful creative team. But I know that finding those jobs takes a lot of hard work, and actually getting those jobs, you need such an incredible portfolio, because there's so many people out there who, just like us, have done all of this work, all of this planning, learning, etc. And it's so competitive. I think I'm excited to get some more portfolio and know that if I went for something like that I could be a genuinely competitive candidate, you know?
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, Lottie, I already think you are a genuinely competitive candidate. You are absolutely superb in a multiple of ways. But it's interesting, right? Because it used to be, and I don't like to talk about how things used to be, right? Because things aren't like that anymore. They're different and they're better, right? They're better now. But it used to be very often that, you know, someone would go, let me go and work for that company, learn the ropes, and then go and set up my own thing. And people still do that, and it still works. But it does feel a little bit to me like it has flipped the other way, where companies kind of want to go, what experience have you got? What skills do you actually bring to this other than just potential? And so what you've said there, Lottie, falls in line with that, right? Which is like, let me go and show you what I can do, and then maybe I'll become an asset on a corporate level, which I'm sure you will, should you choose that path, you know. But yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah. No, it's true. Chris, let's come to you next. What about you've kind of, you know, over the last sort of 3 years, so you've talked a lot about, you know, different avenues, and you are doing a lot of different things. What do you want the next sort of 5-10 years look like for you?
I think the end game for me is that I'd really love to kind of register a business to go into artist management and artist development. I think that's a kind of it's definitely an objective of mine. But in the meantime, it's funny that you mentioned like how things used to be, because it feels like that was the kind of route that I was thinking of. So trying to get a job kind of in the recording or the live sector, sort of, you know, hopefully something a bit maybe label based or agency based, and then using that experience to sort of be able to work within the industry further as a freelancer. I might also think about further study in the future after having a break from assignments for a little while. But yeah, I think anything to do with kind of artist development, you know, maybe kind of like gigs, A&R, and anything to do with kind of helping the artists kind of keep moving and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you're already doing a fine job of that, Chris. You're already active in those areas, right? Managing artists and doing good things, and so
Thanks,
yeah,
Johnny.
good for you. Yeah, no, it's good, man. Nat, hello.
Hi.
So you know what I'm going to ask you, right? What does it look like for you right now, Nat? Have you kind of got like a firm, fixed idea of what you want the next few years to be?
I feel like I have an idea, but it's kind of like a range of different things. Obviously the first goal is just get into the music industry, kind of. And I feel like especially after spending my time at BIMM, I'm definitely more open to different roles now. Similar to Lottie, I also started my own blog when I was 16. And I've particularly like always enjoyed editorial work. So I think a position in music journalism would be kind of my ideal. And maybe in like a decade, I could own my own publication, but that's obviously
Yeah.
quite far off. But I've also discovered that I do enjoy marketing, so perhaps an entry-level marketing role would also be quite nice for me. But honestly, even a little bit of a rogue choice, like touring with a musician, doing like merch or just content for them, kind of any of those avenues would really interest me.
Good for you. Yeah, yeah. Keeping options open.
Mhm.
Sorry, I feel a bit silly actually because so Nas. I mean, I always do, right? You guys know me. But Nas and Lottie, you both started your blogs when you were 16. I didn't know that until now. I feel weird that I didn't know that. That's wow. 16. Goodness me.
Yeah, been
No,
a
no,
while.
no wonder you got because when you came in and started your degrees, it was like, whoa, God, these guys have got their heads screwed on, like they really know where. And you'd already brought quite a lot of experience in on a sort of editorial level and absorbing different things and different acts and different. That's wow, that's really good. Wow, 16. Goodness me, you put me to shame. How has your this is an interesting question for you for all of you. How has your understanding of the music industry changed since you started your studies? What has shifted in that time? Well, things have changed in that time, right? That little thing called AI kind of came about during your degree, right? And all these various other offshoots that are linked to it. So I suppose even during your studies, the music industry has evolved a lot, right? What is it's about your understanding of it, right? Like your understanding the mechanics of like artist management for Chris, for example, or what marketing actually looks like nowadays, or what does that look like? Your understanding of music, how has that kind of altered a little bit? Chris, let's come to you first.
I mean, I didn't come from like a musical family or anything. So when I started like my diploma and my degree, I was very much like I was new to all of it. And for starters, when I started my degree, I didn't know that I didn't know that publishing was separate to distribution. That was something quite new for me. That was something new to discover. Obviously, we've spoke a lot, Johnny, about, how the copyright's separate, and it just like, I mean, that it's a whole other sector that I didn't know existed really. And as well as that, I
You're not
think,
alone there, by the way, dude. You're
yeah,
not
yeah,
alone there, right? There's a lot of people that are very confused about that because the names are quite misleading, and so it's good that you know that, but please,
thank you.
you're not alone in thinking that, so don't worry.
Oh no! I mean, it's obviously it's one of because they sound the same, don't they? Obviously, the names go back kind of in history, so it's sort of I don't know, maybe they need updating. But as well as that, I didn't. There were a lot of things where I sort of knew what things were. Like I've heard of a label and a studio, but then by doing the degree, you sort of learn how they're all connected and how they work with each other and things like, the difference between what a booking agent does, what a manager does, what a label does, sort of going through my diploma and especially my degree, you sort of learn about the sort of intricate differences between those kind of roles and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially going into artist management because there's a kind of expectation that suddenly you have to know every single aspect of the music industry,
Mm.
which is like in some ways grossly unfair, but also it kind of goes part and parcel with the role, I suppose. So
Yeah.
by becoming more and more aware of what the agent does, what the publisher
Mm.
actually does, who collects on this, it's all these pieces of the pie that there's a lot of music industry executives that are perhaps my age or perhaps older, who never studied this stuff, who had to kind of learn it
Yeah.
along the way. And the reality is you're all far much more informed than previous
Mm.
generations, and it puts you in a wonderful position. It really does. Nat, let's come to you for that answer. So, how has your understanding of the music industry changed during your studies?
I think before starting BIMM, as much as I created my own blog and I feel like I had quite a big knowledge of social media before beginning. I think that it's definitely felt unreachable before and kind of like difficult to even approach being in the music industry. So coming to BIMM and going through the degree, I've definitely felt like I'm now more a part of it rather than just watching it from the outside, which I think has been a really nice change. I feel like it's not necessarily about the music industry specifically, but if you get to be a little bit more involved in it, I think you become a bit more like a part of it. And also similar to something that Chris said is kind of like we haven't just focused on marketing, especially this year. We're doing a music law module, and that's definitely opened my eyes to all other aspects of the music industry and kind of made my impression and everything kind of a bit more well-rounded.
Oh yeah, of course. That's the module that you do with Anne Harrison, right?
Yeah,
That's
it
the
is.
one.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So for anybody listening or watching that doesn't know Anne Harrison, Lottie, tell us.
Tell us about Anne. Gosh, tall order, Johnny. Um,
I threw you into that one there, Lottie. Sorry.
You have a little, that's okay. I think we've been really, really lucky through our course leader and our module leader, which is John Hart, who's incredibly knowledgeable as a music manager and having had to deal with the nitty-gritty of music law himself as an artist and working for artists for so long, that we've got a really practical approach to it. We're not just reading judge synopsises, we've got a really kind of hands-on perspective. But we've been really lucky to have several sessions with Anne where she's talked through different kind of contracts and agreements with us, and she's been wonderfully helpful when we've had questions about examples of case law that we've discussed, or going, actually, Anne, what do you think to this issue? How would this play out in the real world? I think we've been really fortunate to be able to connect with somebody with such experience, with such an incredible client list. I will not try and summarize that for anybody listening, but I'm sure Anne Harrison will not mind if you Google what she's been up to, because she's got such an incredible wealth of knowledge and has done so much teaching and has written a very wonderful book I currently have sitting like on my shelf in my eyeline that has quite honestly explained all of this so concisely and in such plain English that it really helps such a daunting topic feel so approachable.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that's the book, Music the Business, that you're referring to there. So, we're talking about the legal representation of somebody that's worked with the likes of Ed Sheeran, Adele, just to name a few. She is nothing short of a legend in the UK music industry. Yeah, I know, Chris, you learned a lot from her as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest, that the very, very first time I knew that we were going to meet, and I was slightly intimidated, and because it is, but she's such an approachable, nice person. Like, we've been able to email her before, and she gets back to us, and she's absolutely lovely. So it's been like Lottie said, really amazing being able to have sessions with her.
Yeah, I think she's kind, isn't she?
Very
And it's funny, isn't it? Because you look at someone like Anne or many others where you go, wow, they've achieved so much. And
Yeah.
actually, you can't help but just think, actually, a part of why is because of who the person is behind that role. And she's warm, she's kind, she's lovely. And it means something, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
What do you feel most unprepared for entering the music industry? Is there any particular subject that you go, oh, I'm not sure about that over there? Like, what makes you feel, is there anything that makes you feel unprepared? Nat, let's come to your good self.
See, I don't feel like I feel unprepared for the music industry anymore in general. I feel like the only thing that I might be a little bit unprepared for is I don't have that many contacts, which I feel like is something that I need to be like build my contacts to be a bit more prepared to enter into maybe different industry roles. But in general, I do feel pretty prepared to enter a role regardless right now.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, okay. And that, your network will widen naturally
Mhm.
anyway, Nat. The more you do,
Yeah.
the more and all of a sudden you'll be 30 and you go, oh, I can't know quite a few people, I suppose, really. Am I in the music industry now? That's how it was for me anyway. Am I in this? I suppose I am. Am I? I don't feel like I suppose I am, but it's weird, isn't it? Anyway, I'm whittling, as I have done for 3 years at you, so I'll minimise it. Lottie, is there anything that you feel kind of unprepared for in the music industry?
I think that, I suppose a lot like now, I think the areas of my specialism, I think I feel really knowledgeable about. But to think that I know everything would always be, I think, a little bit of a, I think that would be a little bit too generous, wouldn't it? To sit there and go, yeah, got everything covered, it's fine. You know, I would never want to sit here and just be like, yes, I'm so sorted. I think for me, I would love to get involved in touring work, especially with my work as a concept photographer. I think getting to follow an artist on tour and have that relationship and build that image set and get that experience and try and capture something so much bigger than First 3 No Flash would be amazing. I mean, I've done theatre for 13 years before I did BIMM. I've gone to so much live music as a fan and as crew, and putting on my own events. It's like amazing. I just now want to know how this works at the next level, you know?
Mm.
I think that would probably be the most interesting thing that I don't have any real experience of yet for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just scaling something up, isn't it? Which I boldly predict you will do with ease, Lottie. You know, it's a little bit like kind of saying, well, you know, I haven't done that thing over there before. Doesn't mean I can't. It just means I haven't done it yet. You know, yeah, I think you'll be scaling things up. By the way, Lottie, I always mean to say this to you, but I really love your photography.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've got such a good eye for it, you know.
Thank you very much.
There is an aesthetic, right, about your photography where, like, if I see something, you know, like on Instagram, for example, I think, I bet that's Lottie, and I go, oh yeah, it is. You know what I mean? You've got that thing in your
Thank
work.
you.
So, yeah,
That's wonderful to hear. It's nice to know it's recognizable. And yeah, if you have
It
any
is.
photos, you know where to find me.
Okay, there you go.
She's great. You should definitely get photos from her.
Thanks, Nat.
Chris, anything that you feel unprepared for?
I think mainly it's just the kind of the sort of like day-to-day standards. Obviously, through our degree, we've learned a lot about, you know, how different businesses run and sort of the different roles that are involved in them. But I think, like, something the kind of next thing is learning about how, you know, obviously, like for a record label, for example, we did a record label management module, and I think the next thing is kind of seeing how those roles, like what they actually do day to day, and seeing how the kind of jobs work. I think that's something I'm maybe a bit sort of unprepared for, but I'm very eager to find out about.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Like the inner operations of a record company. Oh my God, it's so varied.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
oh my gosh, you know, everything from like one person and a laptop right up to like a team of 50 people, you know, and beyond. It's so yeah, you know, you could work at a record company or more than one record company for 20 years and still maybe feel a little bit unprepared about what that next company role might look like. You know, and you kind of go, oh, I have to do marketing as well now. Okay, I'm a marketer now. Okay, I wasn't 10 minutes ago, but I am now. Okay, thank you. Let me go and talk to my good friends Nat and Lottie about it. That'll help. So yeah, that's a fair point. Now, you three have been, well, you are around a lot of emerging artists, right? You know, I mean, generally, like you're all active in different scenes and festivals and all sorts. But for the last 3 years during your studies, you have walked the floors with many, many, many different artists. You know, many of which are really trying to make a name for themselves, right? Are there any kind of common mistakes that you witness amongst emerging artists? Is there anything that kind of springs to mind that you think, oh, you know, yeah, that's a thing? Lottie, let's come to you.
Oh gosh, I mean, some people make mistakes and you don't know the mistakes until you've done like the learning from them. You know, it's really hard thinking about it retrospectively. I think certainly with my experience being mostly in the intangibles, you know, I'm delivering you photos and like a brand plan and here's who you are. I think dealing with that kind of creative, but it's not, you can't put it into a song. It's that kind of concept thing. I think I interact with so many artists who think that just their writing is going to take them all the way. And that actually, if the writing's there, then actually the reputation will come and then come all the opportunities. And it's not quite the way it works, unfortunately, if you're an artist. I mean, not unfortunately for me, I love my job. But I think for some artists, it's quite disheartening for them to think, oh, God, I have got to do all this other stuff. It's not just down to me. And I think the perfect bit of writing, the perfect bit of storytelling, the visuals, the artwork, the video, the social media, it's all still creative and it's all really important, and it's all an extension of the writing and the little like world you're trying to build with your song. And it's finding the right palette of people and getting other people to buy into what you're doing. And once you've done that and you've got a community of people who are buying into what you're doing, they want to see you go far, they want to work on it, they're invested in helping you make it happen, I think it becomes much easier for it to not feel such a drain or an obstacle that you have to create this other work. But what I will say is you've got to buy back into your creative team that are helping you out. I think there's a bit of a tendency for any art that's not the music to feel like a bit of a utility sometimes. And I think it's all creative output and it's all helping build your work. So when you find the right people, you will love their work, they will love yours, and it will all work itself out from there.
Yeah, absolutely. What a superb answer. Follow that, Nat.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as good as that.
Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
goodness me, what have you done?
No, that was brilliant.
Oh,
I was just like,
something off the last, I think. I think that would have been a good ending for this, but never mind. I'll carry on.
go for it.
I think when you're starting a band, like at the very beginning, I think you definitely have to be really certain who you want to be in a band with. And I know that sounds really simple, but I think a lot of people jump into bands and then you don't end up having the same goals, and some people aren't as committed as each other. And I think just even if it is a year down the line, it does become too much of a problem. So I think you do have to make sure that you're all really committed in the band. And of course, to bring it back to the marketing advice, I think having a populated social media and regularly posting is really important, and you can have fun with that to an extent. But I think it's a really great way for bands to get noticed, discovered, and be recognizable. And I think it's definitely important if you're trying to get yourself out there.
Yeah, good point. Very, very good point. And what about your good self, Chris?
I mean, I think Nat and Lottie, I 100% agree with you. I think like the focus on the branding and the identity is hugely important, and I think a lot of the time it's maybe not considered as much as it should be. And I think, like Nat said, considering who you sort of the team, including the band that you're building around you, making sure that you all have the same goals is really important. But I think as well as that, I think sometimes maybe some artists or bands rush to be fully professional, maybe sometimes a bit too quickly. And I think sometimes it's okay to have a period of time, especially say within the first year or so, where you're still kind of finding that identity and stuff, and getting to know your band members and sort of knowing who's going to be around you. And I think that time, because understandably artists and bands are very eager to make it, I think there's a kind of a rush to sort of skip that time. And I think sometimes spend some time just sitting with, sort of developing your songs and your sort of performance skills. And then after that, think about starting your Instagram, making your logo, picking your name, finding gigs. I think sometimes starting with the identity comes from the music. You write in a genre, and then that informs your outfit choice, your logo, your name, your typeface, all of that kind of stuff. And I think spending some time with those things before you sort of start to get professional with it, I think it gives you time to consolidate that stuff. And I think it stops you from getting overwhelmed. I think if, starting an artist project and having to think about all that stuff from day one is jarring just to think about it. I think if you spend some time writing songs that you're happy represent you, and then making sure you'd feel comfortable performing and that your performance is exciting, I think sort of like slowing down and taking your time and enjoying the journey can be valuable, very valuable in the long run.
Yeah, that's brilliant answers from all three of you there. Yeah, really, really, really strong insights. Like I wish that all of your three answers there could just be put in a bottle, right? And then just kind of given to acts, because I think they'd find it so useful. Hopefully they'll watch this, listen to this, and go, "Oh yeah, we maybe rushed a bit," or Nat's right. We're not consistent with our posting. We don't always know what to post, or it's a thing. If someone were to start a music degree like today, what would you tell them to be focusing on outside of their university studies? Let's go to Chris.
I mean, it sort of varies because obviously everyone's kind of, situation's different. It's understandable that this might not necessarily always be possible, but I think as much as you can, just try and go to things, try and go to events and societies, try and join projects and stuff. I think sort of building your portfolio, I think there's a focus on like experiences that you can write on a CV. But in my experience, when you keep going to gigs and stuff like that, the same faces kind of keep popping up and they're who you remember. So, after a while when you're thinking of, working on projects and stuff and it's like, who can do this? You've kind of got, you can sort of put roles to faces, as it were. You can kind of go, oh, this person does this, and I've seen them so many times that I kind of know that they can do that, and I'm familiar with their work. Obviously, being able to do that work as well, like with artist management, I knew that I wanted to get into it. So the first thing I did was I found a couple of grassroots artists, and I said, like, could we work together? And they said, yeah. And now I work with Mac, and I'm learning stuff about it kind of every day. But I think I hope that what that means is that people, recognize me as someone who manages indie and alt rock artists. I think trying to do as much of the work as you can, if you can do it kind of without payment, and if you can for a little while within reason, obviously. And if you can, trying to make it to things like gigs and trying to get to know people and be friendly and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're doing a great job, by the way, with Mac. That's Mac Wood. You're doing a super job with him. You really are.
Thanks, Johnny.
I know we spoke a few times recently about what he's up to and stuff, and the way that you try and sort of navigate the thing. I can see what sometimes correct me if you think this is wrong, Chris. Right, but you are trying to eliminate problems in his career before they become a problem. Song splits, studio agreements, setting things up with producers. Are they going to ask for any masters? These are all things that can be retrospective things further down the line that become problematic. And because of what and having listened to the likes of Anne Harrison pick apart, cases like that, you think, if only early on, so. I mean, he's lucky to have you. He really is, and he's a great artist as well. So, good for you, man. Good for you.
Johnny.
So, yeah. Nas, what about your good self? What could people be focusing on outside of their studies in order to kind of just build their careers a little more?
Yeah, it's quite simple, but I think I'd say if there's a project you're really passionate about, put a lot of effort into that and share it. Even if it doesn't necessarily feel that important, doing something you enjoy outside of your studies is really important. And sometimes your passion projects can be what ends up being like your main thing or something that really does propel your career forward. So always take time to do something you enjoy, and put passion into something that you like.
Yeah, good advice. God, do you know, I'm just thinking when you said that then, Nat, it suddenly made me think of the amount of like so-called sort of side projects that people have done over the years that have become their career route. So yeah, I'm really glad you said that. Yeah. And what about to your good self, Lottie?
My advice technically comes from somebody else. Before I started at BIMM, I was told by a friend of mine who already knew BIMM quite well that the experience was going to be what you made it, and that actually you wouldn't be given a set experience. It's not quite like any other kind of university, and I think it probably goes for all music unis, in that it is so much more tailored to what you do with your time, what you put in, what you choose, what you research, what you listen to, what you go to. And I think without that advice, I wouldn't have been so quick to push myself to go to different roles, go to gigs where I didn't know the people or the music. I was buying stuff for arena tours for people that I'd listened to for years before I went to BIMM. And I'd be like, oh my God, it's in the small room at the Institute. How niche. Whereas now I'm going, oh, they're playing Centrala. It's 80 people. This is a new band. They're very small. They're on their way up. And I think that if you don't go to these things and you don't try the jobs, you don't know if you like it. You don't know if it works for you. You might do it once, you might hate it, you might never do it again. You might go, never offer me this, never offer me this again. You might do something and find out you don't like it, and that's fine. But try everything. I mean, I've done label management, I've done PR, I've done photography, I've done A&R, I've done so many things, and actually you do try it all and you still learn from everything. But you can't neglect the other opportunities. That's the major benefit of going to a music university. You get that leg up, you meet the people. And I suppose it's like Chris and Nat have said, you've got to follow the passion projects and you've got to go find the things that you like doing, find the people doing it, find the people who care about it, and just keep doing it. It's unfortunately really unhelpful advice in many ways, because I'm telling you to just go do the things you like and find other people who also like what you do, but it is fundamentally the best thing you can do. I mean, with things like the zine, if we hadn't gone, oh, I love this side project, we wouldn't have done these events, we would have raised all this money for charity, we wouldn't be promoting all these artists, we wouldn't know half the people. So I think that's probably my thing, just go and try it all.
Yeah. That's solid advice. Yeah, because it's easy to kind of second guess things, isn't it? As to, oh, I don't think I'll do that thing over there because I don't think I'll like it. But it's always a guess, isn't it? Even if you do try something, you go, oh God, no. You like you said there, oh no, that's not for me. But I know it isn't, and I'm not left wondering. Or, wow, I didn't think I'd like that, but I do. It's like going to a restaurant and trying a different meal, isn't it? It's we all have our habits. We're all creature of habits in some way or another, aren't we? But no, it's great. Do you know, guys, honestly, this goes to all three of you. I think when you look around at the landscape of the modern music industries, right, it's complex, right? There's a lot to it, as you all know. One of the things is this: there's a lot of people making music, and that's brilliant, right? We need that. The entire algorithmic landscape is reliant upon new music, right? However, it comes with a large caveat, and that is that we need music industry professionals that think about the bigger picture, because those people that are making that music need people like you. Now, whether that's you working under the umbrella of a large corporate company, or whether it's a small entity that you start, or you're working for yourself, irrespective of that, you're needed, right? You're really, really, really needed. And I'm really glad that all three of you have taken the path that you've taken, because I think that it will serve you well. And I thank you for doing what you're doing, because you are crucial to the future of this music business. And I really appreciate you doing what you do, and also coming here today and talking to me, right? Because I thought you probably heard enough of me over the last 3 years, right? And you agreed to come on here, and I'm very grateful for it, right? It's been wonderful to watch you all grow and develop the way you have. And I'm very, very excited about what the future brings for all of you. I really am. Are you all excited, by the way? Because you're about to, gravitate into a golden era of your lives. Does it feel like that, or does it feel scary, or is it both? What do you think?
Little from column A and a little from column B, Johnny. A bit of both. We're very excited, but also mildly terrified. Is that age-old story?
Yeah. Well, it's the fear of the unknown, right?
Oh yeah.
But with that comes great excitement, doesn't it, as to what things could look like in the future, and knowing, and I know that you all know this, I'm preaching to the converted when I say it out loud, but it's still the truth, right? Is that your future is what you create. My God, that sounds cheesy, right? But it's true, isn't it? Right? It's true. It's like, I want to go and do this thing over here now. I really like that artist. I want to go and help them to tell their story. Or like, I really like what that band's doing. If they were to just alter this, maybe that could be something that would help them. Do I see myself in a role there doing that? Are they open to it? Right. That's another thing as well, isn't it? With artists, Lotty, you were mentioning earlier about kind of writing story and building narrative around something, because we all know that, artists want the music to do the talking for them, and eventually it will. But until then, they have to stand out from the crowd, and storytelling helps them to do that. Do you ever feel any pushback, Lotty, from artists that kind of go, yeah, what you've written is beautiful, but like, I just wanted people to hear the music. Do you kind of get that sometimes?
I think I'm really lucky that the artists that I work with, for example, I've worked with Jazz Cat for a while now. I
Oh, yeah, they're
originally
great.
started working with Nat, actually. Thank you. I will tell them. Well, they'll hear it, actually. But um, I've worked with them for a really long time. And I think I'm really lucky that they really value my insight and that they trust that I will write the right thing. And that I think that trust is probably the most important thing. I think that if you're writing content for someone who you don't have that relationship with, or it's quite new, it's really hard for them to go, here's everything about me and all of the emotions that are wrapped up in my music, go present it to the world. I think that's a really hard thing for them to do, to surrender that control to you. And I think I'm really lucky that artists like Jazz Cat, I've done some work for Sycamore Hill as well. I've done some of their press
Oh,
content.
they're great. Yeah.
They're fabulous.
They've only done one single, but they're really good.
Yes. Well, Johnny, I'll send you an email afterwards. There might be an opportunity to see a couple of these bands live at some point.
Okay, right.
Me and Nat know what we're on about. We'll send you an email.
Yes,
we'll copy you in, Chris. We'll send you an email. You can find out all about it. But yeah, I think I'm really lucky that I don't get that much pushback on story and writing, because I think the artists are at that point where they're going, I need your help and I trust you've got that knowledge. But it's really hard for them, I think, to go, make me whatever I need to be. I trust you. I think that takes a while to work up for people.
Yeah. That makes sense. I suppose I don't think that ever really changes, by the way, either. I mean, it could be that you've got like, a president of A&R at a record company, and there's an artist comes in, they go, well, I've every reason to trust what that person says, but I'm not there yet. I don't know them, and that takes time, and hopefully it works. But no, that makes a lot of sense. Guys, thank you, all of you, right, for coming here today, for talking to me, for sharing your thoughts, for being outstanding people, right, and for representing, the UK music industry moving forward. I think great things lie ahead for all of you, and I'm really glad that we kind of got to just put this in a little time capsule today, right, and look back on this in a few years and go, wow, look what they're all doing now, and I'll go, I know, I told you, that's why I had them on. They're all on to great paths. So anyway, I sound like an embarrassing uncle now, so I'll stop praising you, but I'll just say this, right, good luck. You know where I am. I'm here anytime you need me. Okay,
thank you very much,
Johnny.
Okay, there you go. God, they're so impressive, aren't they? They're so impressive. They all have a very informed approach to where they want to be, what roles they think they can play, and of course their ideals will change, as we all do, right? No one stands still in this world anymore, do they? You're always constantly learning, constantly evolving. It's not like they've gone, okay, I've learned everything I need to know, off I go. It's not one of those. It's a continual learning path. We all know that. They certainly know that. But my goodness me, what three fine examples. If I look to the future of the UK music industry and I go, it's people like that that are going to be running things, I go, thank goodness for that. Everything's in a good place then. I have great faith in them, as I do with a lot of people that I'm around and a lot of people I work with. There's so many good people. I know there's a million things in the world that we could moan about, but what's the point, right? Let's look on the bright side. Let's look at who's coming through and what's happening. So there we go. That was the purpose of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any queries, questions, comments, reach out to me. I'm here to help. That's why I do this. That's why I'm here. Okay, enough from me today. Have a great day, everybody, and may the force be with you.